Hello everyone. Hi. Welcome to my channel. My name is Iblis Flair, and I'm your future Demon Lord. Today, I'll be talking to you guys about, yes, the almighty League of Legends. Yes, it's been it's the time now, and I'm going to talk about this real quick. And what I'm going to talk about today, is how to play the jungle. Yes, the role that everyone's scared of. Well, I think most people are scared of because it's the most unpopular role in the game. But I want to tell you that it should be the most popular role in the game. Why do I say that? Because this role, I feel like, is the most impactful role in the entire game. And I might be argued with about it, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm not here to fight you. But I truly think that jungle is like the best role you could use to carry. And for you experienced jungle mains out there, I don't even know why you're watching my video. But welcome here, and if you don't know some stuff, I will teach you some stuff. I will say before we even start, as a disclaimer, my peak rank is platinum. I haven't reached any higher than that. I definitely could make it to at least diamond, but I just kind of lazy. I'm just kind of lazy. But today, I'm just going to show you everything I know about jungle, and if you watch it to the end, um, it should help you climb a little bit, just a tiny. If you're like, well, I mean, at least if you're below gold, I feel like it will help you quite a bit, because the things I'm going to talk about today should help you. Anyways, without further ado, let's just get into it, huh? Things we will talk about today. So, I will talk to you about first clears, jungle timers that you need to know, without using the app. Yes, I know there's apps out there like Face Check, Face Check, Blitz, all those stuff. You're not going to need it anymore after you're done with this. Tracking, because you need to know where the enemy jungle is. I think as a jungler, your job is to keep track of the enemy jungle. Just as like if you're playing a lane, like mid lane, top lane, support, bottom, AD carry, it is your job to keep track of the enemy jungle. You should be pinging missing, you should be pinging it caution, retreat, all that to your laners. Your laners, they should be tracking them, but I'm not going to say that they have to. As jungle, it's your responsibility. That's it. That's all. Um, the next thing we're going to talk about as well is like when to gank, and this ties into map awareness as well, because there is no when to gank, when to not gank, when to farm, when to full clear. It is not that cut and dry. You can't decide that like before the game begins. It's something that you'll be discovering as the game goes in lifetime. Um, yes, we'll get into that. The next thing I want to talk about as well is what is your priority in the game? Like, what's the goal of the game? I think everyone should know the goal of the game. It truly is, yes, to go get the enemy nexus. That's the flat out thing. But there's more to it than that. How to get to that, I guess, is what I want to talk about today. And then the last thing, and this is the most important thing, if there's anything in my video you want to take today, this is the most important thing. Back timings. If you master this, I guarantee you, you will climb divisions. It's so simple, yet so hard, I want to say. There's not anybody does it. Well, anyways, let's get started here. I hope that you guys can see this okay. But the first topic is game start. Are you ready? So first and foremost, I put it on here. Yes. Buy your items. I can't say enough how many people go out there and then they don't buy their items at the start of the game. Please buy your items. Please, 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 please. Before you start the game. There's actually like a pro player. I don't know the name, but there's like a video where he was playing in like a pro game and he forgot to buy his items. The team, I think they still won. I'm not too sure, but still, even pro players doing like live games like that. So even here now, I want you to not forget to go buy your items. It's the most important thing. How can you jungle without the jungle item? It's not easy at all. You will probably die on the first camp, and you won't get level 2, by the way, from clearing out the first camp. So please buy your items. The next thing we're on the first topic is where are we dropping, boys? Just like in a game of Fortnite. Where are we dropping, boys? No, we're gonna actually decide where are we gonna start from. Are we starting from the red side? The red side? So it's this side over here, the red side, the top quadrant and the bottom quadrant. First quadrant start, by the way. You want to start on the red side, you want to start on the blue side. In my days of like playing the game, I really, really, really 100% think, and you can fight me against this, is that you should start on the red side, no matter what. The reason why I say this, Well, we'll get into it in just a bit on the last part of this topic. But I really, really do think you should always start on the red side. I don't care what happens. If you need to get a leash, don't get a leash, whatever. Just start on the red side. Um, the next thing you need to be thinking about is like, where has the enemy started? Now you can do this in multiple ways. You can find out where the enemy started in different ways. You can see who arrives to lane first. So if you look at the bot lane and they show up late, just like your bot lane, then that means that the enemy player started on that side, usually. Or you can look at the top lane. A deeper way you can check is like pan your camera over to them, because I know you could see on the map, you can see the little icons and stuff. And yeah, that's fine. That's fine, you can see the little icons. But I want you to click over there and look at them. Are they missing any HP? Are they missing any mana? And even further than that, if you want to be extra checky, is like if like there's like a Leona or a Thresh, usually they'll be running something called Guardian. If you click on them, the enemy jungle can proc their Guardian, and it's because they're staying too close and are taking damage from the camp. They will proc the Guardian. So if you see the Guardian procced, then that means that the enemy started over there. That's another way to check. But I think like for the vast majority of you, if you're like below gold, which yeah, I even plat, where I'm at, you don't really need to go and do all this stuff. You can just literally go check to see where the enemy team is like coming late from, and usually that's where they started. So the support will show up to lane late, or like the AD carry will show up to lane late. That would mean that they started over there. I say this is very important that you check where the enemy started, because this is tying into jungle tracking. Now we're not going to that just yet, but I really do think here is like a good part to talk about it. Know where the enemy jungle started, okay? And when you know where they started, I want you to ping missing. But question mark ping. Question mark ping the area where you see that they are showing from, or they're starting from. Or like caution ping, whatever. Let your team know that you know that the enemy's over there. Because, I know you're gonna say it, my teammates don't listen to me. Yes, I know. Sometimes they don't listen to you, and other times they will listen to you. If you're on a ranked game, your teammates want to win, right? And you want to win, right? So, ping it. Ping it. Act like they are going to do it. You can't just assume because one person, like one game, didn't listen to you, that you shouldn't do it anymore. I want you to ping it every time. Ping the enemy starting location every time. Got it? Alright. Let's move on then. What level do I need before I gank? Now, this is a very important thing I want to talk about. You know, it depends on your champion. I'm not too sure what you're playing, but I know what I'm playing. Say, for instance, like I'm playing Viego. Viego, he can technically gank at level 2. He can, but he will be better at ganking at level 3. So before I'm going to gank any lane, and it's just before I even think about ganking a lane, I need to get at least level 3. If I do not have level 3, I'm probably not going to gank you, because I need it for Q, the Q, which we already have at level 1. We have the W stun, and we have the E mist walk across the wall, so I'll be able to gank properly. I need these three things to gank. So I mean, most of the junglers out there, they're going to be level 3 junglers, unless you're playing something like Shaco, or you're playing like a Jarvan, or you're playing like a Xin Zhao. These champions are like level 2 champions that can gank with, because Xin Zhao, she has the EQ, which you can jump onto someone and then do the knock up. Jarvan has the flag and then the dash. Those are level 2 champions. And that's fine. But that's something you need to think about, is like when you can gank. When can you successfully gank and actually get kills? And ensure that the enemy's going to die. The level 2 junglers, level 3 junglers. Decide which are you. Okay? And the final thing I want you to ask yourself when you're playing jungle at the start of the game is, can I invade, or will I be invaded by the enemy? So, what I mean by that is like, can the enemy, jump you at level 2 in your jungle? Like, say first you just started bot side, you're on the blue side by the way, you just did your red, and you're going over to your Krugs. And the enemy jungler, he started on his red, and he's running directly through mid lane over to your Raptors. Can he gank me? Now that comes down to like the enemy junglers, and it really depends like what they're playing. If they're playing a Graves, a Kindred, a Nidalee, a Kha'Zix, I'm talking all these jungles, man. These are the ones that want to jump you in your jungle. Can they do it? And this is why I said beforehand, remember, I said to always start on the red side, because you want to get your red buff. With red buff, you should be able to fight your own battle against the enemy jungle, no matter who they are. If they're like a Kha'Zix, a Rengar, whatever, you should be able to fight them off or even get away, even kill them possibly, so long as you have red buff. If you had the blue buff, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna hope that your cooldowns are fast enough. The red buff, it gives you a burn and a soul effect. This is very useful when scrapping down with enemy junglers. So that's why I always say, at least do your red buff before you do anything else. There are some junglers that are exception to this rule, like Hecarim. I know Hecarim, he really values his Q off a cooldown, and that's for good reason. I played him myself. Those champions, yeah, you might want to start on blue. But on most champions, you're going to want to start on red. Always start on red. I don't care if you get a leash or no leash. Always start on red. Um, but that's about it for this one. I guess like the key things you should be thinking about is like, again, as you see there, don't forget, buy your items. Where are you going to start? And this is like the only thing you can really think about when you are playing a game that's predetermined, is like where you're going to start. Um, as well as like where the enemy jungle started. Keep those eyes on the map. I want you to look to see where the enemy's starting from by looking at the support and their top laner. Ping where the enemy is starting from. Got it? You want to ping it with a question mark or a retreat ping, okay? And then, what level do you need to gank? Most jungles, you're going to need level 3, okay? And then, think about whether or not you can be invaded. If you're thinking about all these things, you're going to be doing fine. I know I went over that quite quickly, so if you have any questions about that, you can rewind or put a question in the comments and I will answer it. Now, topic number 2. This is not a very huge one. I just want to talk about the camps and the experience and gold that they give you. So, as it's pretty cut and dry here, you can look here that it is Krugs at the top, and then the tier 1 Scuttle Crab at the bottom, which it wasn't always like that, by the way. Back in the day, the Scuttle Crab was closer to the top, simply because it was worth more. But ever since I think it was season 11, that changed. So now the Scuttle Crab's at the very bottom. But you should value your jungle as like this tier list over here. So like if you're gonna invade someone, these are like the camps you really want to take in like this order, I guess you could say, because they're most important. But I guess that comes down to like counter jungling, and in that situation, you gotta also think about counter jungling from back to the front, because if you're going to jungle from the front to the back, it's harder to get away from the back. So like if I'll go back to the previous slide here. If you're like you're playing for the blue side, and you're invading the enemy jungle's red side, so like the first quadrant up here, atop by the Rift Herald, you'll want to take the Krugs into the Raptors into your side, because the Krugs is the most furthest back, right? And the Raptors are closer to your side. So back to the front is the most important way to do things, right? I know I said like, well actually I guess that's kind of with like this tier list here, because the Krugs are on the top. But I guess it's flipped around over here, because the further away on the red side of the second quadrant, the blue side, the wolves are further in the back, and then the Gromp is closer to your side. So like I said, always back to the front if you're going to invade. But yeah, these are like the tier list here. Study it if you can. The Krugs are on the top, and the tier 1 Scuttle Crabs on the bottom. Raptors are last. Raptors are quick to take, but like I said, they give you the least amount of experience in gold. So you want to reevaluate your camp values. The next thing I want to talk about today is when to gank and when to farm. There is no really when to gank and when to farm. I really do think that when you get into a game, it's not something you can just determine, right off the bat. You need to look at the map. The map will tell you whether or not you have farm, whether or not you can gank. Now, I didn't really get a picture for this for you to look at, but I want you to imagine, just close your eyes with me. I want you to imagine that the mid lane, both of your laners are constantly trading, right? You have a Zed versus let's say a Kawi, and they're fighting back and forth, right? It's one of those anime battles, and they're both half HP. They've used their entire kit. That is when you want to gank the lane. You want to gank lanes when they're like basically half HP. If you're gonna gank something, I want you to ask yourself, are they killable? Can you kill that laner? And if the answer is yes, then you can gank it. And most of the time, if something's going to be killable, they're usually like half HP. Half HP because they're constantly training, right? You don't want to gank someone that's full HP. It's hard work to kill someone that's full HP because they will take a while to kill. Simply because, like I said, they have full HP. If someone has 800 HP and another person has 400 HP, which one's more easier to kill, right? The 4 HP target, the 400 HP target. So think about this when you're going to gank. If you look at the bot lane, as you're clearing out your first 3 camps, you got the level 3. You just got level 3. And your bot lane's fighting back and forth. They have a Thresh and Callista against your Leona and Jhin. Sure, you can say like, oh, there's CC there. But like I said, how's their HP levels? Well, I'm going to tell you for a fact that that was the true fact. That like this is like actual battle. They're going to be usually trading back and forth HP. And at that point, they'll be like 50% HP to like a quarter HP, 25% HP. And that is when you want to gank the lane. Because, like I said, it's killable. So since it's killable, you want to gank that lane. Got it? Only gank a lane if it's killable. If you have to, I want you to mute your teammates. Because they're going to ping you all the time. They're going to be like, oh, help me, I'm dying. Or whatever. It's a Vayne top lane. Yes, I understand. Vayne top lane. Yes, I feel your pain, top laners. Yes. But still, you need to ask yourself, is the lane killable? And the answer is yes, then go ahead and gank that lane. You need to evaluate this on your own time. And I'll show you in games when like I get into like a video pretty soon. But yeah, like I said, think about this. I'll move on to the next topic now. Yes, so topic number 4, jungle timers and tracking. This one will get you out of using the app. And I think this is most important when you're tracking enemy jungles too. Because, like I said at the first topic, it's your job to paint where the enemy jungle is. And you can do this with wards, without wards, either way, I don't care. You can do this, and you do not need an app for this. I know people are using the blitz and the face check, but it's not necessary. So, please take note of the following. Your tier 2 camp rotations. So that's after the first full clear, which is like around, I'd say like 3:30. That's when first Scuttle Crab arrives. You're usually at the Scuttle Crab by 3:30, right? And so should the enemy jungler. They should be there at 3:30. So when you recall, if you get a gank or whatever, I don't really care. The first camp or second camp that you did after your buff will respawn at 4:20. 4:20. I want you to remember this number, 4:20. And I'm not talking about the weed. This is this is not that. I want you guys to know that 4:20 is a very, very special number. It's a magical number. The first camp that they did after their buff will respawn at 4:20. The next camp will respawn at 4:40, okay? And then the second quadrant, so look over here on this picture. The first quadrant, say for instance, like you started on the red side, your red buff, and the enemy started on their blue buff. The second quadrant is like the second spot across from the map. I guess you can say the epicenter. That's the mid lane. Across from the middle lane, that's the second quadrant. The second quadrant will respawn around 5:15. Okay? So keep these in mind. Once again, I'm going to tell you again. The first quadrant starts at 4:20, and the second quadrant starts around 5:15. So, if we're going to counter jungle somebody, because you see them overstaying on the top side. Let's say, for instance, like your top lane's fighting, you have a set on your team, enemy has a Garen, and the enemy jungle is hellbent on ganking this lane. He stayed there. It's like 4:30. He's been sitting in the bush waiting to like kill your top lane. You have a counter jungle opportunity. You can go over to their first quadrant because it's 4:20 and it's 4:30. They're still sitting in the top lane. So you can go take their Gromp, you could go take their Wolves, and you can get away with it and walk back over to your first quadrant or second quadrant, up to you. Personally to me, what I would do, I would walk over to my second quadrant instead of my first quadrant because the enemy jungle doesn't know what you're doing. They do not know what you have done after taking their quadrant. You could go to your quadrant, or you can go to the second quadrant. It's really up to like what you're doing. But this is something that I like to call Schrodinger's box theory, is that the enemy can't really tell what you're doing. They can't tell whether or not you're going over to your first quadrant, you're going over to the second quadrant. They can't tell where you are at all, really. Unless they want to go personally walk and time commit, walking over to your first quadrant or walking over to your second quadrant. They do not know. And in most cases, I will say below gold, even plat, I don't think enemies are going to want to walk into your side. But if you're doing this, you're walking into their quadrant and punishing them like this, it'll be very huge. But most importantly, like I said, you want to think about these quadrants. First quadrant, second quadrant, and their timing of respawns. If you do not have an app, good. After seeing this and like rewatching it, whatever, you should be able to play the jungle just fine without timers. But if you have to write it down, put it on a sticky note, put it on your monitor. First quadrant, first camp that you're doing, your first quadrant will be at 420. And the second quadrant, first camp, will be at 515. Okay, so that's the wolves, that's the raptors. You're 515. Okay. Something else to think about as well is dragon will spawn at 5 minutes. I think this is common knowledge. Everybody should know this. Dragon will spawn at 5 minutes. So if you're playing Shyvana, 5 minutes. That's what you got. You got to be there by 5 minutes. That's it. If you take objective when spawn, enemies won't expect it too much. There may be sometimes occasions where you see like, okay, that enemy Leona just warded the dragon, which I mean is kind of weird. I don't know why they want to waste their ward on the objective, because no one really does objectives early, or it shouldn't be. I just think it's like a huge time commitment, because taking a dragon, I don't care what dragon it is, it will usually run you like a minute and a half to clear out a dragon. So I don't like it early, because I think you should be like farming your camps. Because if you're taking the dragon, it takes you a whole minute. The enemy could have possibly farmed like 2 quadrants. It's probably level 6 to your level 4. You need to go do shit. There's no time for dragon. Unless you're playing something like Shyvana or like Viego or Kindred. These champions have like percent HP damage and they can wipe out dragons very quickly. So unless you're getting help from your team or you're playing Shyvana or one of those champions I just listed, I really don't think you should do dragons at 5 minutes. Take your time with them, unless you're getting help from your team. The other objective you should be worrying about is the Herald spawn. Herald spawns at 8 minutes, okay? 8 minutes. If you can take this Herald as soon as it spawns, you will win a lot more games. Because I think the most important thing that you should be thinking about in a game is gold and experience. Gold and experience. Why do I say that? Because with gold, you can buy items. You can go buy your Eclipse, you can go buy your Gale Force, you can go buy your Gore Drinker, you can go buy, I don't know, whatever you possibly want. You can buy so much of gold, right? And with experience, you'll have the highest level in the game, which means you'll have the best stats in the game, which means you'll be able to win the 1v1s, the 1v2s, the 1v3s. You will win them all if you have the highest amount of experience. It's very hard to fight someone that's a higher level than you. So gold and experience are the 2 most important things. Why is the Herald gold and experience? Because the gold that you can get from a Herald, if you use it properly, you can take an entire tower. What's an entire tower? Around about 1,000 gold, pre 15 minutes. So, say for instance, like you gank the top lane and you kill the enemy top laner. Well, the enemy top laner is going to be dead for the next 15 seconds-ish. 15, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. And that time, you and your top laner can push the wave under tower and take the plates. Now, if you're going to use Rift Herald, I think the most important thing that you should do with the Rift Herald is only use it when it's like 3 and like 10% health. So like 3 plates, and third plates of like 10% health. That's when you want to drop down the Herald. Because the Rift Herald now, it's kind of weaker than it was before in previous seasons. It usually kills towers that are like 2 plates-ish, around those lines. So if you're going to drop down the Herald, only use it when it's at like 2 plates-ish. But you got to use it earlier than that, because the enemy lane is going to be coming. So like 3 plates, like towards like the last third plate dying, is when you want to drop down the Herald. And if you do this, you will be getting huge amount of gold. Okay? And the most important time to do that is like, again, when you kill the enemy laner. So like it's like the top laner or the mid laner or the bot lane. Even the bot lane, that's too fine too. You want to drop the herald after that, and only when it's at 3 plates. And I mean like three, like the third plate's about to die. Okay. Last thing you need to think about with like the camps situation and like the timings is camps respawn every 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Now I'm not saying all game long you need to keep track of like the camp spawning, but I think like the first camp respawn, that's the tier 2 camps, are the ones you want to keep track of, and so on and so forth for your one. Buffs, I didn't put it on here, but they respawn at like around 6:40. So like whatever the first quadrant is at which they started, it will be arriving around 6:40. And for the other side, I didn't include this either, but it will be like around 8 minutes to 7:50, 7:40-ish, around those lines, because I don't know how fast they're clearing. But think about these timers, they're very important. First quadrant, 4:20. Second quadrant, 5:15. Dragons at 5 minutes. Herald at 8 minutes. Try to take those on spawn. When they spawn, you should be hitting it already. Do not do it late, please. Don't do it late. I really, if you can do it at like the spawning time where it spawns at 8 minutes, you're guaranteed to get it, and I think you can do so much with it. Okay? And please, if you have an app, get off the crutch, please. You don't need you don't need the apps anymore. Please, trust me. You'll be fine after this video. But let's go on to the final topic of the day, and this is the most important thing. If you skip through my video, please look at this right here. This is the most important thing. I need like flashing red lights on this. I'm gonna put flashing red lights on this later. I'll edit it in, don't worry. You need to know back timings. What is a back timer? It is the time of which you have to back before any of these things happen. I'm talking skirmishes, invades, objectives, sieges. So like after you get a baron, maybe you should back, because you need this gold that you have. You may have like, I don't know, 800 inventory, 1,000, 2,000, whatever. I don't care. If you have gold, I want you to back. Please back. If you have like 1,100 gold and you're playing an assassin like Kiana, what can you get with 1,100 gold? Any takers? Alright, you get 3, 2, 1. It is a Dirk. You can go buy a Dirk. Imagine what you could do with a serrated Dirk. You can do so much with a serrated Dirk. That's 30 AD plus 10 lethality. So much you could do. Please, back with your gold and use it. Use your gold. Gold is not useful unspent. I want you to go back to the base and spend that gold. So if you have like a dragon coming up, dragons come at 5 minutes and they go every 5 minutes after that. Say for instance, like the dragon is about to spawn in like 30 seconds. Well, you should be slapped on the wrist for that. Why are you backing now at 30 seconds? I want you to back at least before the 30-second mark. If it's 40 seconds and dragons want to spawn, back then. Because you'll have 32 seconds when you land back at your base. You have time to get at the dragon, time to secure the area, so much time for everything. I want you thinking about this. Back timings. Let's say, for instance, like you're doing like the full clear, back on the other tab I just said. The quadrants. Remember, I said Herald spawns at 8 minutes, right? And I said buff spawn at 6:40. So, if you are doing like your second clear into like third clear, taking the buff at 6:40, and getting ready for the Rift Herald spawning at what? It's spawning at 1 minute and 20 seconds. So, around like 30 seconds, which you'll be able to get your red buff, I want you to back, go get your red buff, and then go over to the Rift Herald. These type of things, these back timers, I want you thinking about. Say for instance, like you're playing like the early game, and you went back over here to like win the gank. When can I gank? Say for instance, like you just got a gank off in the mid lane, or you got a gank off in the bot lane. It's that Thresh and Jhin, or Thresh and Samira. I want you to, if you get the gold, if you kill them, you kill the enemy Samira and the Thresh. That's how much? That's 600 gold, right? Take it back, because look here. You can get a longsword for 350, and you can probably also get some boots. Or maybe if you have futures market, you have 2 longswords and maybe a dagger. Buy this stuff and go back on the map. Because with these advantages, these item advantages, you'll be able to 1v1 the enemy jungle. You'll be able to do invades, like I said here, invades. And how do you know whether or not you can invade enemy jungle? Because I just told you, these timers here. The 420, 515. The scuttle crab, I didn't include it here because it's not very important, will be spawning at 3:30. Imagine it's like 2 minutes, 15, and you just killed the enemy bot lane, and you have 2 long swords up on the enemy. What happens if you have plus 30 AD on the enemy at the scuttle crab? What happens? Well, like I said, you have a 600 gold advantage, 700 gold on them, so it should be an easy fight, easy clap. The enemy will die because they're not going to be pressing tab, probably, and you'll get the kills. You'll be winning the game automatically. So now you have the 300 gold, 600 gold from the bot lane, and you have another 300 from killing the enemy jungle at the scuttle crab. Plus, taking his red buff, if he's over there, or blue buff, you're already set to win the game. And let's say, for instance, you get a kill on the top lane as well. Well, now look at that. You are up 1200 gold on the enemy jungle. And it's all from these back timers. I want you backing if you have gold. So once again, if you go down the bot lane, you get some kills. I want you to back. If you're going in the mid lane, you get some kills. I want you to back. If you did the full clear plus the scuttle crab, I want you to back. These little things can win you games. Back timers. Being ready for these objectives, dragons, sieges, barons, heralds, so you're ready to fight the enemy. These little backs can win you the game. You won't be falling in those situations where you're like, oh, he got away with like 1 HP, or oh, he got away because he had the flash or some boots. Ah, he got away, or I couldn't smite this, or there will be no more You will be making them say because you have the item advantage. So think about this. Think about all these things I just talked about today. And if you do all these things, you too will be winning the games like I am. Thanks so much for watching. I know it's like a lot of information, and I probably didn't explain it too well, but the videos will be coming out soon. I will be showing you how to play the jungle, or how I play the jungle, and yeah, it's up to you if you really want to apply it to your own games. I guarantee you though, you follow what I said. If you're bronze, you're iron, you're silver, you're gold, you will climb just a tad. You will climb a division. You will climb a whole elo. That is all I have to say for today. So thanks again for watching. If you liked it... Oh, you know what? I forgot. If you watched my last video, oh no, I will not be giving you any subscribe or any of that. No. Today, I'm going to ask you a question right now. A question. And if I win, you know what you got to do. You know. Yes, you know. Anyways, the game is... it's not even a game. It's a question. What would you prefer? Would you prefer boba tea or Starbucks? Boba tea or Starbucks? And I'm gonna guess the answer will be in the description below. And if I win, you know what you gotta do. It's subscription time for you. And if you already watched beforehand, well, actually you couldn't have watched beforehand. So whatever. Alright, anyways. Thanks for watching, guys. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye. I know. By the way, guys, what do you guys think of my classroom? Do you like my classroom? Do I look like a professor to you? I don't really have, you know what? I just give up. I'm not gonna talk to you guys anymore. Just get out of here. Get out. The video's over. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.